You didn't hear me. I said let's do it.
Oh, okay. I'm starting you up now, so hold on.
I'd like to call to order the Miamisburg City School Board meeting, September 10th, 2020. Would everybody please rise for the pledge? Ms. Hagman, roll call, please.
Mr. Amsler,
Here.
Mrs. Angel. Here. Mr. Lewis,
Here.
Mrs. Neese,
Here.
Mr. Toadvine,
Here.
Dr. Blessing. Present. Mr. Homan,
Here.
I'm present as well.
Thank you. Next, I have a motion to adopt the agenda for September 10th, 2020.
I move we adopt the agenda dated September 10th, 2020.
Second.
First, Mr. Ambler. Second, Mrs. Angel. Roll call.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for the regular school board meeting held on August 20th, 2020?
I move to approve the minutes for August 20th, 2020.
A second.
Okay, we had a first from Mrs. Neese, second from Mr. Lewis. Roll call.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Okay, next we move to the approval of the financial report dated August 23rd, 2020. I have a motion.
I move we approve the financial report August 31st, 2020.
Second.
Okay, we had a first from Mrs. Angel, second from Mr. Ambler. Mrs. Hagman.
Well, I'm happy to report that there weren't any real surprises. We were a little, let's see, I gotta think what I wanna say here. We had some variances when it came to collection of property taxes, and I think that's a timing issue. As you know, the deadline was extended until August. I didn't expect us to get any of our final settlements until September. And we haven't gotten our final settlements yet, but we did get a lot more money than I anticipated in August, so it was a good thing. But given the fact that that had been pushed off, a lot of things are not as they were last year or in years prior, so I think it's a timing issue, and the big variances that we're seeing in revenues and expenses is all about timing, since we're starting school a little later, and but I think overall we're doing as expected, so no real surprises.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes.
Okay, and the approval of the financial report has passed.
Thank you.
Next, we have the recognition of appreciation for retirees. It is recommended that the Board of Education adopt a excuse me, a resolution of appreciation for the following employees. Whereas Cindy Goff has rendered 30 years service to the students of Miamisburg City Schools, and whereas Cindy Goff's performance, conduct, and sincerity in carrying out her duties as excuse me, has exemplified the highest level of achievement And whereas Cindy Goff has distinguished herself as a playground lunchroom aide, transportation aide, Miamisburg High School aide, facility monitor, and special education assistant. Now, therefore it be resolved that the Miamisburg City School Board of Education pass the resolution as a token of its appreciation for her outstanding conduct, and that such resolution become part of the permanent minutes of said Board of Education. Dated September 10th, 2020. Well, I'd just like to say, Cindy, thank you. Mr. Humlin, would you like to say a little bit about what went on today, or was it today?
Sure. Dr. Blessington.
Sure.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, we visited Cindy today at Mark Twain and presented her with her bell. So we have a photo for everyone to see. And, she was so enthusiastic and appreciative and was looking forward to spending some time helping her grandchildren online with online learning. And also just maybe finding another small part-time job. She said not full-time, but just lots of enthusiasm and energy, and it was just a pleasure to recognize her in all of her years of service.
Okay.
Need a motion in a second, sir.
Need a motion?
I move for the recognition of appreciation for a retiree.
I'll second it.
Okay, first from Mr. Lewis, second from Mrs. Angel. Roll call?
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, next, the board discussion. Mr. Kent Cashel of the RBC Capital Markets has a presentation on refunding of school bonds.
I am here. Tina, do you want me to just go right into it? I was certainly happy to.
Please
Yes.
do.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay. Well, let me first say it's wonderful to be talking to the Miamisburg board again. To those members who remember me, I certainly know your president does, and others may. It's great to be talking to you. As I get older and work through this business, it's wonderful to have relationships that last over a long period of time and be able to continue to come back and have that continuity. The other thing I'd say up front is that while I had my phone muted to avoid background noise, having a son at the United States Naval Academy, I can assure you I have unmuted it for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So thanks for that. So just to step back and give a little background here, the Miamisburg City School District has debt that's been issued pursuant to votes of their residents. And the most recent bond issue, the larger bond issue, was actually issued in three separate, let's call them tranches, three separate issues in 2008, 2009, and 2012. In 2015 and 16, we took advantage of a refinance, the two issues that were issued in 2008 and 2009. So we've already refinanced a portion of the voted authority. What we're looking at today is the opportunity to refinance the 2012 bonds for savings. Now, one important thing to note is that in 2017, the Tax Reform Act that was passed by the federal government actually took away the opportunity to do a refinancing prior to the call date. The 2012 bonds have a call date of December 1st of 2021, so over a year from now. And that tax reform package took the ability away for us to issue tax-exempt bonds to refinance those bonds. What that didn't preclude us from doing, though, is issuing taxable bonds to refinance our existing debt. Now, we're a municipality. We have the luxury of issuing tax-exempt bonds. Why would we issue taxable bonds? And that's a great question, because under normal conditions, we would not. But as it turns out, and you're probably aware of this from other parts of your life and from investments of the school district, taxable rates have dropped precipitously and are extremely low now as well. On your investment side, for example, under the conservative investment rules of you often invest in things like treasuries, which have a very low rate of return now. So what is a negative on the investment side provides an opportunity on the financing side. So taxable rates have dropped to the point where we now have an opportunity to refinance the 2012 bonds by issuing taxable bonds and saving money. So this is simply the resolution that's before you tonight is a resolution to authorize the issuance of these refinancing, or in our business we call it refunding bonds, in order to save money. And the estimate of the savings changes every day with interest rates, but currently we estimate that on a refinancing of about 14 million of the 2012 bonds, we have a total savings that estimates are in the $2.5 million range. We take those savings that manifest themselves over time and present value them to today, to do an analysis of that, to create a metric. The present value is about 1.9 million in savings. And when we divide that by the 14 million that we're refinancing, we get a net present value percentage savings of about 13%. Now, the reason that's important is that GFOA and other organizations would suggest that if that present value percentage is over 3 to 5%, then it is a good government thing to do to take advantage of the lower rates. So that's the opportunity that presents itself now. And I want to make it very clear that if we're successful in capturing lower interest rates and lowering our payments on our bond debt, the way that manifests itself is lower payments on our debt service from now through 2039. That's the final maturity. And therefore lower taxes that are required to be levied each year on our residents to pay that debt. It does not provide you with a chunk of cash in your pocket in any way today to be used for anything else like operations. So that's an important point. I think many of the board members at Miamisburg, they're veterans, have been through this before. They certainly were there when we did this in 15 and 16 and know everything that I'm saying. So I apologize for repeating things that you know. But that's an important point, that it does not give you cash. It does not provide you operating flexibility in any way. It simply lowers our payments going forward and therefore lowers the taxes that are tax levied, the millage, in other words, that's required to make those payments. So we have an opportunity. The savings is strong. There's a resolution. But let me say one more thing, and then I'll take questions. I just want to make it very clear that the authorizing resolution also basically says we're authorizing the issuance of these refunding bonds, and we're delegating to our fiscal officer the authority to carry out this refunding. But we only do so, obviously, if it makes sense to do so. If we get to work and rates rise and the opportunity goes away, you're not saying we're doing this no matter what. We would simply stop. The district would be in no worse condition than it is now, no different condition, and we would wait and see if it came back later. So the authority is delegating that to your fiscal officer, but it does not mean we will go forward if interest rates rise, obviously. So let me stop and take questions.
Yeah, I just want to make it very clear to the people that might be watching this on television that the school district in itself does not benefit $1 from it. It's the community, the taxpayers that are actually benefiting from this. And our hopes obviously are that we can follow through with all this, and it ends up being even higher than 1.9 instead of less. But that's a big wish.
So Kent, if we go forward with this, when might the taxpayers see that decrease in their taxes? Would that happen in January, or would it be the next year?
It should. We will lower. So it's a great question. The standard procedure for this is to take the savings proportionally over each year, starting in 2021 through 39. So we're going to, whatever our payments are currently, we're going to lower them proportionally in each of those years. So there would be a lower payment required in 2021, and it could result in a lower millage being levied by the county auditor. The reason why I say could is the county auditor often levies a millage. They determine the millage is required to make the payment, and they make certain assumptions about your assessed value and your collection rates, for example, things like that. So it could result in a lower payment as early as 2021, or lower taxes in as early as 2021, but it definitively results in a lower payments over time. So whether or not the tax goes down immediately or it takes a couple of years for it to take effect, it will result in lower taxes on your residence.
Thank you, Ken.
Yes. And the only other thing that I would say as part of the discussion, and I'm certainly willing to answer any other questions, is I did go through your agenda, and I know that your bond counsel, Ricker Neckler, has also provided you with a policy on post-issuance compliance, which is the next thing on your agenda. That is, just so you know, basically standard procedure now for boards to adopt a policy. When you issued bonds back in the day, every one you've issued, I've been the underwriter on all of them, you committed to providing continuing disclosure to the marketplace when you issue those bonds. Everyone who issues bonds does that. You commit to providing some continuing disclosure to the marketplace. And this policy is simply to make sure that the board is part of that commitment, saying, yes, we commit to providing that continuing disclosure. Tina works with your bond counsel to provide that information. There's now a national clearinghouse that all that information is sent to, so all the investors who might be interested in looking at a bond of Miamisburg City Schools can go right to that one page and look at it. It's all very standardized, but that policy is simply to encapsulate the board into that commitment to providing that continuing disclosure. That's which has been there all along. So I didn't know if anybody had any questions about that policy, but that's what that is.
Nope, but thank you. Now I don't have to explain anything.
That's why you think, huh? Okay, are there any other questions?
Well,
No, sir.
I'll stay on the phone until you get down through that thing on your agenda in case anybody thinks of a question. So I'll be on.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Thanks, Ken.
Okay. It is recommended that the Board of Education waive the first reading of the following board policy, post-issuance compliance policy. Do I have a motion?
I move that we waive the first reading of board policy, post-issue compliance policy.
I second it.
Okay, so we had a first from Mrs. Angel, a second from Mrs. Neese. Any further questions before we vote?
No, sir.
Mrs. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Amsler?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine?
Yes.
Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Okay, A is passed. Let's move on to item B. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve a resolution approving a written post-issuance compliance policy in connection with the issuance of the tax-exempt and tax-preferred obligations by the school district. Motion.
I move for the approval of the adoption, the revision of the board policy with the policy and procedures concerning post-issuance compliance.
Second.
Okay, we have a first from Mrs. Neese, a second from Mr. Lewis.
I do have one question. Does this mean the bond will be paid off at the same time? It's not pushing it out future in the years?
That's correct. Yes, we're not going to change the ending date. So, yeah.
That's the beautiful thing about.
I'll jump in there and also say that you cannot change the ending date to go longer. That is defined by the vote that took place. When your voters voted, they said, we authorize you to issue bonds for this period of time and to tax us for this period of time. We don't have the opportunity like other governments might with their debt to just push it out and elongate it because of that vote. That vote dictates the final maturity.
Thanks, Ken. I think I knew that, but I wanted to make that clear to people who might be out there listening to the broadcast.
Okay. Roll call.
Absolutely.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel.
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. Thanks, Kent. Are you there? You left.
I am here.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ken.
okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, I'll stay on until you actually pass the resolution authorizing the bonds in case somebody, that's item 6B. I'll hang on and listen through that, and then after that, I'll drop if there are no more further questions, but there might be something that comes to mind, so I'll wait.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to the consent agenda. The superintendent and treasurer recommend that the Board of Education approve the attached memorandum of understanding with the Miamisburg Classroom Teachers Association. Excuse me. Next, we also have the acceptance and release of student for transportation purposes of 2020-2021. The superintendent and director of business services recommend that the following students are released, accepted for transportation purposes for 2020-21 school year. Release transportation liability to Centerville City Schools for Brian Williams for transportation services to attend Incarnation Schools. Item C, adoption of free and reduced price lunch program for 2021 school year. It's recommended that the Board of Education approve the district participation in free and reduced price lunch program for the 2021 school year. Do I have a motion?
I move for consent agenda A alpha through C Charlie.
Second.
Second.
Guess we had a first from Mr. Ambler in Army style and second from Ms. Angel. Questions, statements, Ms. Hageman, anything?
The MOU is because of the remote learning and other things that come up, correct?
Right, as you know, we're doing things a little differently this year, and as a result, the MCTA Association was willing to have some flexibility in their negotiated agreement. And these were the things that we needed to sort of have some flexibility working around, considering we're starting later. Our PLP classes online are going to look different, and so we had some of the language, some things changed just for this year. So as we work through that, so they've been very flexible and willing to work with us on that, so we could get school started and stay in school.
Well, thanks to MCTA. And
Yes.
they're willing to be flexible. I really appreciate that.
Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go to Human Resources agenda items. I'd like to point out that 4A and 4B require the same reading, and I will read it once. Employment in the Miamisburg City School District is contingent upon the candidate submitting to and passing a BCI and an FBI criminal record check in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code and pre-employment drug screening in accordance with the adopted board policies.
I move we approve item A, the approval of personnel reports certificated and classified.
Second.
First from Mrs. Angel, second from Mr. Amsler. Roll call?
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel.
Yes.
Okay, and that is passed.
Does that mean everybody's hired that needs to be right now, Steve?
Okay, and we go to B. It's recommended that the Board of Education approve the following report, certificated classified supplemental stipend. Do I have a motion?
Move for the approval of personnel report, certificated classified supplemental stipend.
I second it.
Roll call, please.
Oh my goodness. All right, Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler.
Abstain.
Okay, that item is passed. Next, we go to agreements and contracts. It's recommended by the superintendent and the treasurer CFO that the Board of Education of the Miamisburg School District approve the negotiated agreement between the Teamsters Local Union Number 957 and the Miamisburg City School District Board of Education to be effective July 1st, 2019 through July 30th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
I move for the approval of the Teamsters Local Union Number 957 agreement.
I second it. Don't often get a chance to do it, but I did. Okay.
Yeah.
Can we roll call really quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, thank you.
I'm so glad to see that on the agenda.
Me
As
too.
are we.
Moving right along. The superintendent, director of business, and treasurer CFO recommend that the Miamisburg City School District Board of Education approve the attached agreement with Turnkey Data Solutions, LLC, Sports TV Network. Motion?
I move for the agreement between the Miamisburg City School District and Turnkey Data Solutions LLC, TKDS Sports Network.
Second.
Okay, I had a first from Mr. Lewis, second from Mr. Amsler, Mrs. Blessing, or Dr. Blessing, excuse me.
This is the streaming agreement we shared it with you last month. Sorry. This is the streaming agreement we shared last month that all of our athletics will be able to be viewed because of limited seating at our stadium and other venues. So I think it's been up and running now for a couple weeks. So I haven't heard any issues, and I've seen them all working at the events and providing that service to our families. So
I have the service, and so far it's been perfect. Picture's great. Commentators, for the most part, are great. You know, I mean, that's a very hard job. I know anyone that watches sports thinks that they can step in there and do a play-by-play or commentate. That is something that's very difficult, and they're doing a good job of it. And camera angles and everything. I mean, it's really, really good.
great, and we appreciate our technology team has had to help and make sure the Wi-Fi is up in areas where, we're outside and, at different venues. So it's gone well, and we appreciate that, Jason were able to get that going and provide that to our families.
And I've also heard that other districts are not doing it as cheaply as we're doing it. So that's a good thing for our district, that we're supporting that so that the parents are able to use it without paying the full price.
Right, that is correct. I think it's a significant savings compared to some schools. I've heard some it's $200, and I
Yes.
think ours is $60.
Yes.
So that's very nice.
Yeah.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler.
Yes.
Okay, and item B is passed. Next, we move on to, it is recommended by the superintendent and director of business to enter into an agreement with West Carrollton City School District for student transportation to St. Rita's School for Deaf for this 2021 school year. May I have a motion?
I move for the approval agreement to transport students.
I second it.
Okay, we have first from Mr. Amsler, second from Mrs. Neese.
Yeah, this is an agreement. It just depends on the enrollment in the years. Some years we assist our neighbors, and we already are transporting a student to St. Rita's. So we just kind of work out when they need help, we provide that, and then we need help from them, we provide that as well. So it's a nice relationship to have.
Thank you. Questions?
No, sir.
Roll call?
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel.
Yes.
Okay, that item is passed. Item D, it is recommended by the superintendent and director of business to enter into an agreement with Assist Services Incorporated for student transportation for the 2020-2021 school year. Motion?
I move for the approval of Assist Services agreement to transport students.
Second?
Okay, we have a first from Mrs. Neese, a second from Mr. Lewis.
I can comment on this if you like. Most, 99% or 98, hopefully more percentage that our drivers transport all of our kids everywhere, our bus drivers. Sometimes it's not possible, and this is one of those routes that wasn't possible for one of our drivers to run. So we've outsourced it to Assist, and they've offered the best pricing available. Scott did a really good job, Mr. Gilbert, of looking at different companies to see if we could get better pricing than we did last year, and we indeed did, so,
Excellent.
yes.
We like bidding and getting better prices. Roll call.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Okay, item is passed. It is recommended by the superintendent and director of human resources to enter into an agreement with Terrace Metrics Incorporated. Do I have a motion?
I move for approval of agreement with Terrace Metrics Incorporated.
May I have a
Second.
second, please? Was that you, Mr. Amsler?
Second? Yeah.
Okay, we have first Miss Angel, second from Mr. Amsler. Mr. Homan?
So we have an opportunity to participate in a program that is moving into this area. And just as we put a focus on mental health for our students, this gives an opportunity for mental health services and evaluation and support to our staff. And so especially during, the time from March to now, a lot of things have happened and people are still getting through it, and anxieties and things like that. And so we were approached to kind of be a foregoer, if that's a word, or moving forward in the area with this. Pilot, there we go, thank
Yeah,
you.
we're gonna-
And what the program is it's no cost to us. And all the staff will have an opportunity. They're not forced to do it. It's voluntary for them to fill out surveys. And based upon those surveys, someone would be in contact with them if they feel they might benefit from some services with the company. We do not receive information on an individual. We do not receive information of what people answered. That is all totally confidential. We feel just as mental health is very important to our students, that we also need to take care of our Miamisburg family with our staff to provide them with opportunities to keep them mentally safe and well. So we're very pleased a pilot it's very generous of the company to do this. And like I said, it's as Dr. Blessing said, a good word for it. It's a pilot for us. As they move into this area, it is very big throughout other parts of the United States with the company. And I think it'll be very beneficial to our staff if they choose to participate. But I feel giving them an opportunity to do that and knowing that, you know, we might, probably the only information we'll get is you've had X amount of people participate. But other than that, I think it's an opportunity that to provide to our staff.
That's excellent, because I know we have staff members under stress.
Yeah.
We do.
Like all of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
No, sir.
No. I would just like to thank you guys for putting that in place, because you know I feel like it really is needed right now. There truly is a lot of anxiety within staff and parents and students and administration and everybody else about what's going on in our world.
Right. And they will provide them with lists of resources and opportunities and looking at their insurance, and if they don't have insurance, where to help them facilitate to get the needs. So,
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel.
Yes.
Okay. Move on to the financial agenda items. As recommended by the Treasurer CFO, approval of the following total amount from all sources available for expenditures from each fund set up in the tax budget, with the balance that exists at the end of the fiscal year ending June 30th of 2021. May I have a motion?
I'll move for the approval of amended certificate and appropriations, August 2020.
I second it.
Okay, so we had a first from Mr. Lewis, a second from Mrs. Neese. Mrs. Hageman.
Okay, well, as we do every month, we adjust the budget as necessary, and we were happy to do so this month because we received 2 additional grants that we hadn't gotten last month. One was the psychology intern grant that we do get every year for about $28,000, and the coronavirus relief fund for $274,000. We also received the 507 grant, which is coronavirus-related relief fund money that comes in the amount of a little over $1 million. So anytime we get more money or we get additional revenue, or our revenues are adjusted, we have to change our amended certificate, and we're still out there pounding the pavement trying to get more grant money, and we've applied for quite a few. So as those monies come in, you'll see this, hopefully increase. That's the goal. So unless you have any questions.
And I will ask, most of the corona money that we have received has strings attached.
Yes, they're federal grants, and as such, we have to spend them in accordance with those. Most of the coronavirus relief money has to be spent by December 30th. So we have of this year. So we have a very short window. The 507 fund is the exception to that. We have a little longer to spend that, so that's great. The one that's over $1 million. So we're using it to pick up some salaries and things that we would have, because we took that $968,000 hit on the local budget last fiscal year. So that's the only one so far that's been extended beyond December 30th, 2021. You'll see on this month, we got another coronavirus relief grant. Dr. Blessing and I were able to get the broadband connectivity grant. So for $25,000 and some change, it's a 1-to-1 matching grant. And so we're going to put in some additional access points and do public Wi-Fi in our buildings and maybe the stadium and some other places. So, we're pushing forward with that.
Thank you for that information. That's excellent. Questions? Anybody would you like to add anything, Dr. Blessing?
No, I think we're just, Tia and I are Right?
We're sorry, we're just kind of picking up where we can, and we also found a private grant that we quickly applied for last week. Don't have high hopes like we do for the broadband grant, which was really going to help our technology infrastructure over time. But we are working on some guaranteed money through some expanding opportunities, another 25,000 that we hope to work on and get finished in the next week or so. So that'll again provide us some more flexibility and programming dollars. So we're just gonna keep looking and hopefully at least get our goal of the first year is at least apply for one a month and at least get 6 out of 12. That'll be our goal the first year, and then we'll just build from there. So
That's a great goal.
Now, speaking for the board, it pleases the board that we are going after those grants and, everything that we can to help our students out. So thank you so much for you guys doing all that.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And I just have to ask this, I think I ask it every month. We've heard no more from the state budget, but they are still taking the same amount away each month that they took at the end of the year. correct?
Right, if they whoa. So currently,
firefighters.
they've reduced our foundation payment, our state funding by 6% of our overall revenue. And that's what they've maintained that cut at. So if that's where it stays, which we're anticipating, we haven't heard anything else from the state, that's actually good for us because I was thinking it was going to be much higher this year. And that may give us some additional monies, about $451,000 as I play around with the 5-year forecast and what we need to look at. So that's a good thing if that is indeed the case. So we have not heard anything different from the governor's office, and hopefully his rainy day fund will, hold out and keep us from suffering another cut.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mrs. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
That item is passed. Next, we'll look at B. It is recommended by the Treasurer CFO that the Miamisburg City School District Board of Education approve the attached resolution authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $14,610,000 of bonds for the purpose of advance refunding. May I have a motion?
I move for the approval of bond resolution authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $14,610,000 of the bonds for the purpose of advance refunding.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a first from Mr. Amsler, second from Mrs. Angel.
And Kent, are you still there?
I am.
When will those bonds go on sale?
Okay, so you're going to authorize it through the resolution tonight, and Tina and I get to work. We have a full schedule out, and I believe our current target is to price the week before election week. I can't remember exactly which date, but it's right around like October 27th, maybe, going by memory. But that week, that's the week we're targeting. We have a lot of work to do. We have to have a discussion with the rating agencies, obviously, but your credit rating was just affirmed by Moody's, so that should be pretty straightforward. We have to prepare the offering document with bond counsel, so we have a lot of work to do, but we have a target date of the week before the election.
And Tina or Kent, this won't affect our Moody rating, or will it for next time they come through?
Help it.
Your rating was just affirmed through regular surveillance by Moody's. As a reminder, you have a AA3 credit rating, which is a very high credit rating. So I certainly don't expect there to be any change in the rating when we talk to them for the rating on these bonds specifically, because they just put out their surveillance report within the last month. Obviously, they don't change their ratings quickly when they analyze things. So I expect you to be affirmed at the AA3 level when we do these bonds.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Hey, Kent,
Yep.
get that done as quick as you can, please. I'm counting on you, buddy.
I'm gonna file this with the Montgomery County auditors tomorrow, and then forward all the resolutions to the attorneys, and, I'm working with Kent and Jacob to get all the stuff done, and then we've gotta do our, statement and all of that, so we'll get it done as quickly as we possibly can.
All right, thanks,
Yeah,
Kent.
we're hustling.
Thank you, Kent.
We know you're on it. Roll call.
Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Mrs. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Amsler?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, I will sign off now. I did want to say that I cheated and looked forward on the agenda, and I don't know if he's in listening or not, but I see my friend Joe Izakovich's name there. If he's listening, Joe, hi. And to everyone else there, I would say I look forward to a time, hopefully not too distant future, when we can all do these things in person again. Appreciate the opportunity, and as I said, Tina and I will be getting to work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kent.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Vice President?
Yeah. So the acceptance of donations and the recommended action, it is recommended that the Board of Education accept the following list of donations. All monies will be used through each school's 018 account unless indicated otherwise. Donated were 2 cases of alcohol wipes and 1 case of screen cleaner, valued at approximately $350 by an anonymous donor. $250 from Jeffrey J. Engel for the Miamisburg High School Theater Program. Stageworks LG12 system-powered amplifier, valued at $100, and 2 speakers, valued at $50 each, from Robert and Heidi Hartley to Jane Chance Elementary School. I believe she's one of our music teachers. $1,000 from the Church of the Incarnation for the Miamisburg City School District's Community Connections Program, and $1,288.11 from the Boys Soccer Booster Club for the Boys Soccer Coach Stipend. So, do I have a motion?
I move for the acceptance of donations.
We had a first from Mr. Lewis,
Second.
second from Mr. Ambler. I'd just like to thank everybody for all your donations. They're always appreciated. Certainly the children are the ones that benefit from all this. Ms. Hagman?
Mr. Amsler?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mrs. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine?
Yes.
Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the donations. Next, we have the report from the NVCTC, and I have it and you have it, so you go on ahead, Dr. Blessing.
Sure. Good evening. Just a short report to bring you up to date on activities at MVCTC as we navigate the world of COVID. We completed 3 weeks of online instruction as of Friday, September 4th. This week we started our shared schedule, adapted for the holiday. Seniors had lab on Tuesday. They will normally meet on Mondays and Tuesdays. Wednesdays are online learning for both classes, and juniors will meet tomorrow and Friday. Now, they met today and Friday for labs and will continue this week. Our current on-campus enrollment for this year is 1,807 students and consists of 979 juniors and 828 seniors. Miamisburg enrollment portion is 127 students and consists of 75 juniors and 52 seniors. The Miamisburg enrollment is up based on last year's figure of 118 students. Our enrollment number is typically third behind Northmont, Proximity, and Wayne Huber and Huber Heights. Building construction continues to progress to progress despite Montgomery County being classified as a level 3 county based on COVID cases. The south wing, which houses the agricultural programs, is on track to be approved for occupancy in late December. The north wing is falling behind schedule due to a shortage of masons. We are not sure at this time how much this will impact the timeline for moving into the north wing, but we should have a better idea in a few weeks. This will depend on the availability of masons. We have updated the construction link on the district's website with a new article and pictures that you can check out at www.mvctc.com. The district is reviewing many of our typical fall events to determine what, if any, can be held safely. We will keep you posted. Let me know if you have any comments or questions.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Bussing, and thank you, Joe, for sending that in. Legislative Liaison, Mrs. Sharon Angel.
There are several things going on. I would just first of all say that the Ohio Department of Health has issued an executive order that requires K-12 schools to notify parents, guardians, and the publics of a positive COVID-19 case, which we're all aware of, and we would do that anyway. Secondly, there is a bill that is in the process, House Bill 606, that would provide K-12 schools and others with immunity from civil liability due to exposure to COVID-19. That's in the works, but it has not passed yet. And the bill that is of most interest to me and maybe others is Senate Bill 358. And this is a bill to address several COVID-related issues. Key provisions would allow teachers and principal evaluations to be completed without the use of student growth measures, which is really a good thing because students have lost 6 months. And the other thing, it would provide flexibility for students should they be unable to take an end-of-course entry exam by allowing them to meet graduation requirements through the use of final course grades and associated with each class. It would eliminate state-required assessments with the exception of diagnostic assessments, and requires the Ohio Department of Education to seek a waiver from administration of all federally required assessments. Although the United States Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, has said, do not expect any waivers to be issued from her office, which I'll just say I think is a total crock. That's just me. It also would prohibit ODE from issuing state report cards for the 2021 year and the 21-22 school years, and establish a safe harbor from report card related penalties for those school years. And it was also provide local control in determining if a student is on track to graduate. So those are the major parts of that. There are a couple other not minor, but a couple pieces of legislation that haven't moved forward very much. They've just been introduced, so I'll bring those up next time. Let's hope this one does pass.
Yep. Thank you, Ms. Angel. Student Achievement Liaison, Mr. Christopher Amsler.
In the district news and information, you want me to read the first one or both of them, or just the first one?
President's job. Find your own stuff to read.
You want
Go on ahead.
do you want to do I'll
You
do the
You read it. You do fine.
I'll do the top one, you can do the bottom one?
That's great.
All right. Miamisburg High School Principal Michael Black announced that 3 Miamisburg High School students earned national merit recognition for posting the highest scores on the prelim SAT exam. 54 local high school seniors from 19 schools are semifinalists after scoring in the top 101% of all students taking the exam. Those students, and congratulations go to Cameron Clark, Brandon Homan, and Riley Russell. So congratulations to one proud papa that's sitting in here tonight, and to Riley Russell and to Cameron Clark as well. So That's
I'd
quite
just
an
like
honor.
to interject that Brandon does take after his mother.
And Cameron's mother is also a teacher in the district, Mrs. Clark.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll let you do the other one.
Okay, are you done for this evening,
Yeah,
sir?
because we just started school, so we won't have the students of the month probably until next month, and then we'll have the student of the month, and then the representatives from each school. So I'll
Thank
get
you,
to
sir.
talk a lot next month.
You're a good man. District news and information by myself. The first making of a difference honoree for school year 2021 was Mount Elementary School intervention tutor Glenda Mesta, nominated by Mound Principal Rebecca Huber. Mrs. Huber said that Miss Mesta is a reading tutor who has gone above and beyond the call of duty her entire tenure at Mound, but most notably during the COVID shutdown. Ms. Mesta, despite being on a substitute contract, met with each of her Tier 3 students and many who were in the reading recovery program throughout the entire shutdown. Several students made 3 and 4 levels of growth in the LLI program during this time by working with her one-on-one for 30 minutes a day. When thanked for her service to her students during this time and for tutoring she has planned for the summer, she states that the reward is seeing the students make progress. Thank you. Thank you for everything you do for us, for our children. Okay. Does anyone have anything that they would like to say before we go around the table? Did I leave Ann out?
Oh, that's,
Yeah.
you know what? Since we moved our meeting up a week, the coalition meeting's always on the same day as our meeting, so I have nothing to report.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
that's unusual, right?
Yep. Sorry, Ann. Chris messed me up. I'm going to blame it all on him.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Anyone before we go around the table? Nothing? Okay. Mr. Ampler?
I would just like to say welcome back from all the accounts that the emails that I've been receiving from Dr. Blessing and then everybody that I've talked to. Seems like it's been a good 3 days. With that being said, I want to say we've gotten some letters that were forwarded to us as members of the board positively that they had reservations of sending their kids to school or whatever the case may be, but they are rest assured that they made the right decision, and I think that goes to all of your guys' meetings that were in these meetings all summer. A lot of hard work that's went into opening our schools, and we're one of the few, at least in this region in the GWalk area, that is open. And I'm thrilled to death that the kids are back in school and we're getting back to some sort of normalcy. With that being said, though I didn't have much in the way of the students tonight of recognition, I at least want to point out, in talking with you, Dr. Blessing, and talking with Steve, and my big worry was as the kids start online and then they come into the classroom or vice versa, they start going back and forth, even though, in talking with Stacy even before the meeting, even though we can't say no, we're at least trying to stress the importance of wherever you start, please try to stay on that type of schedule, though I know things change because it does impact our teachers and how we social distance at school. So with that being said, I would like to congratulate Stacy and Amy both. I know we get the updates as far as classrooms of how many kids are in, and that continues to change, but I know there's a lot of hard work that goes on in there, and I just wanted to say thank you for that. And I had the opportunity of being in the athletic department last Friday, and talking with Jason, and Jason just in the morning for a few minutes stopped in and said hi. And what they have done in regards to keeping our athletics going and our band going and all the things that goes along with that, I was just simply amazed, because there's a lot of things that I didn't realize that goes on behind the scenes, that they were just having a checklist of everything that they were doing. So, and I know that everybody's doing that within the school district, but sometimes we as board members or even in the lay public don't see that a lot and doesn't realize what all goes into the decisions that everybody makes, from the superintendent all the way down. Just keep in mind we're trying to do that as safely as possible, to the best of our ability, and there's just a lot of hard work going on to keep the schools, as Dr. Blessing always says, it's not opening the schools, it's keeping the schools open. So thank you to all your hard work, and it definitely is not going unnoticed. So with that, I'll pass it on to Mr. Lewis.
Start off with, in addition to congratulating Cameron Clark, Riley Russell, and Brandon Homan, I wanted to also congratulate their families, their parents, like I said, the whole families. Oftentimes it's when students get to where they are like this, it comes from the people they're with, and they're a little bit of nudging and pushing here and there. I know at least that's the way it was at the Lewis household, but it's just a great achievement to this point. Can't wait to see what goes from here. Also wanted to thank everyone involved in getting our schools up and running. It's a lot of work. It is really appreciated. Also wanted to say I'm proud to be a small part of the Miamisburg City School District. Proud of the way our schools have opened, the way our parents and community has worked together, really stepped up. You know, I believe our families have done an excellent job of preparing our students for the opening of school and getting everybody back, and our school staff is kind of taking it from there. And you know, I know it's very early in the year, but it sounds like it's going the way it was planned, and it's that's not by accident. So thank you to everyone involved.
Yeah.
Mrs. Neese.
I just say the same thing. Thanks to the classified and certified and the administration for all the work that you've put forward. I did have a teacher invite me into his classroom last week, and you know, I was amazed at some of the things that he has developed because of this new and different year. He showed me some videos that instruct the kids on the procedures and protocols, and just the way he had set up his room for safety. He said he basically felt like a new teacher, even though he's been teaching over 20 years, but he was super positive about it, and he had definitely worked hard, and I know that's what I've heard across the board, that the staff has worked extremely hard, and we truly appreciate that, because you know, our students will be the ones to benefit from that, and that's what we're about, and we are so glad that our teachers and staff, you know, are so on board with that. And I thank you. And I just wanted to say too that with the 358, Senate Bill 358, if anybody can write their legislators, that would be helpful too, I think, because I feel like this year we just need time to learn, and you're taking that break to prepare kids for testing and the time it takes to test. I think it's going to make that gap even wider. So if you can, anybody out there wants to email Sherrod Brown or Rob Portman or Mike Turner, you know, it doesn't take that long, and it would be much appreciated.
Thank you for saying that, Ann.
No problem. I'm done.
Okay. Well, I pretty much would say the same thing that all of you had said. I would especially like to thank the families of our, as Dr. Blessing would say, of our kiddos, because I know that it's been a stressful time coming up to the past Tuesday, and things so far, as everybody said, has gone very well. Thank God. And also, the Teamsters contract was settled, which I'm very happy about that. Maybe being the longest negotiation in history for our school, but we got her done, and we're moving forward. I'd like to thank all those people that's been on the task force throughout the summer. And those task force are going to continue to move forward for a while, and I think that it'll be it's a good thing that we have open collaboration. Dr. Blessing, thank you for everything that you've done, and Tina and Steve and everybody else that's participated in all that. It's been a blessing, actually, because just as Tim said, there was a whole lot that went into getting to this week. I'm not talking hours, I'm talking about months of planning and everything. So the seniors, I have one, a granddaughter that's a senior. She's very thankful that she can participate in cross country this year. I once again, I hope that all that stuff goes well, but the planning and stuff that has went into those meets and the football games and the soccer games and, the band, and you can go on and on and on. There's just so much time and planning that goes into all that. And thanks just for everybody that has spent just free time. I mean, you talk about the time that the band directors and people put into doing all these things, it comes down to not dollars an hour, but cents an hour probably. So thanks to everybody, and I'm done.
Okay, I'll just say ditto. Everything everyone has said. I do want to say I have a couple of friends, their grandchildren are in another district and they're in the band. And they do not have the same kind of support we have in our district. And I know our band directors are so thankful that they are part of the athletic umbrella, because they say they are treated differently here than other people are. And so I just appreciate that we all work together and that they're able to have the same kind of performance opportunities that our athletes do. And I know the Jasons have had a lot to do with that, so thanks them. I also want to say thank you to Steve and to retired teacher Tony Allen, because our wellness committee once again won a strong award for their performance the past year, and they're already up and at it this year. So you have a wonderful team of people working for you. I think Tony does a wonderful job of leading that along with you, so thanks to her. And one final comment, I'm picking my grandson up, Zane, my great-grand, from Mound. And today he said to me on our ride home, I have to tell you, and I think this goes for all of the administrators across the district, he said, Mrs. Huber has to have the hardest job in the district. She is everywhere. She is doing everything. So he said, her job is so hard, I would not want it. So that coming from an 11-year-old, he sees the work that's going in out there. So thank you, all of you, for all of the hard work you're doing.
Mrs. Hagman.
Well, I mean, what else can you say following all that? Everybody's done an exceptional job to get the kids in school and to stay in school, and, just to witness the power of this team as we have the teachers, classified staff, everybody pulling together to make it happen. And I'm so happy to hear that we had a good 3 days so far, and we'll try and keep everyone, or stay in school is our motto, as Dr. Blessing has said, so we want to continue to do that. One thing I was a little remiss in saying is I have applied for a grant with the Montgomery County Commissioners. Have not heard back yet, and I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. So I don't have this yet, but I've asked for $600,000 to purchase Chromebooks, among other things, and as well as some help with the PLP cost. And if we can get that, I'm hoping that we will at least have 1,500 new or more Chromebooks for the district. So fingers crossed, and hopefully we'll be moving forward and we can get that done.
Thank you, T.
Yeah, thanks for writing that grant.
I've just been begging for money anywhere I can find it.
And we can tell when you get it because you walk around with a smile on your face when we can see it with that money.
When we can see it, we
And
try. Yes.
I know some of those grants aren't easy to write. I
Well,
mean,
this
they take
one
a lot of
wasn't
time.
I didn't have to really write anything, so I was okay. You know, most of the time I let the writing be done by Dr. Blessing and Stacy and Amy and those in the curriculum
you then.
department. I just
Yeah.
give them the numbers, so.
Okay. Well, thanks for
I
writing
do have a
those.
question. This probably isn't the right time, but have we heard how those families who are doing online, how they're doing with their students and connecting with the Chromebooks? And are you going to talk about that?
No, Stacy and Amy are on
Oh, okay,
the bat line here, so they can chime in. So.
okay.
I can address that. We are, I would say, Amy and I right now are customer service representatives for PLP, but no doubt about it. I mean, most of them are doing okay. I don't remember my password, or I didn't get my email address, but most of them, I mean, are chugging along. They're getting on. We did this week for online of just trying to make sure kids could get on. We have the classes right. I said before the meeting we have had about 80 to 90 go from online to into the building, and about the same amount go from into the building online. So we're constantly making those changes, but the kids are exploring. Our online teachers have been amazing. They're meeting with the kids. They are serving as mentors, trying to walk them through that, helping any troubleshoot any issues. But we're chugging along. The online's going pretty well, and the devices are working. We've only had a couple major hardware issues that we're dealing with, so it's going really well.
Okay, thank you, Stacy.
So I would just say ditto to everything everyone has said already. So one of the things as the task forces met over the summer, as certificated classified administration all met, one of the things that we felt was very important is, okay, we've started school. It's been a successful 3 days, as we've talked about. Tomorrow, as part of our PD day, and actually the theme of the day is pause, reflect, and correct. And so this week, all of the staff in the buildings, from classified to teachers to administration, have been keeping notes and been really talking about how they can improve things in the building. Maybe things that they thought were going to work well this way didn't, or things that went better than they thought. And so tomorrow, that's what the goal is. Principals have staff meetings with whole staffs and individual groups to talk about everything from arrival to class changes to sanitation to lunch to recess to dismissal, bathroom breaks, mass breaks, anything and everything. And they've already hit that ground running on the first day. Many of the principals called staffs together and said, okay, how did today go and what are we going to do? So that is tomorrow. So that theme again is pause, reflect, and correct. And then we're pulling all the bus drivers tomorrow morning to Memorial and have conversations with them about things that have gone well, things we need to look at, and things to address. I really want to thank the parents out there. You can tell the parents have done a really good job of preparing the students to come back, wearing the masks, understanding what to do. Dr. Blessing and I were at the high school today and watching the high schoolers, come into the classrooms, and they're sanitizing right away. They have their procedures coming in, and that's evident in all the places. And then we were over at Mark Twain today, and we popped in and saw Jennifer Damon doing her online instruction. with the students and seeing how they were engaged in it and all the many things she's done to do that. And that's just an example of what all of those online teachers have done. It is truly amazing how they are really keeping those connections with the kids in the building, making sure the principals are making sure that those students are aware of what's going on and making them feel that they're still part of that community in that building. So teachers in the classroom, in the hallways, fabulous job. Classified, it's been truly amazing. If you've not had an opportunity to come out and to visit and to see staff and students in action, please do so. But I think
We weren't supposed to.
Yeah, that's what I've been wanting to ask. Yeah. Can we visit?
yeah, just follow the visitor protocols, and
Okay.
they're up and running, and just swipe on your phone the visitor protocol.
Yeah, I did that last week before students came in, but I didn't know if you wanted people there.
Yeah, I would say
Okay.
they've got several days under their belt now, and
Okay.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
Steve,
just let the principals know you're heading in, and Dr. Blessing, and
Sure.
that'll be good. But the best part is the kids, they're just so excited to be back, and talking with the teachers, some of maybe their anxieties or fears that were out there, just having those kids back has really helped them understand, like, oh, we're back into this, and so it's been very good. And I'm very proud of our community. I'm very proud of all of our staff to pull together. They talk about Miamisburg being a small, friendly hometown, and this is just another example of how the community pulls together to overcome issues out there, and us being able to show Montgomery County that we can work through it and do the best things we can. And I do encourage parents to visit our updated website. Frequently asked questions are up there all the time. Katie Lucas is doing a magnificent job with the nurses and keeping track of all the tracing and all that out there. So as Sharon talked about today, there are requirements that have to be reported to the community, and that all that information is on the website out there. But thank you to everyone, and thank you to the community.
Sorry about the phone, Steve.
Oh, no, you're good.
I've been trying to contact my grandson all day because it's his birthday, and I guess I've been trying
Are you
so
good?
much that I forgot to silence my phone.
Well, tell him we said happy birthday. He made the news here, so there you go. So.
Dr.
Happy
Blessing.
birthday, Graham.
Steve, I had a question in regards to the bus. I know, we do the seat assignments for the buses that come to school, and we're doing it when we go to away facilities for whatever the sports venue may be. If we would have a issue that came down on a bus, do you know if they're kind of following that 6-foot guideline, or are they quarantining the whole bus?
Here's what I would tell you, and Katie, you can jump in as well. Anytime that we have an issue, that we work very closely with Montgomery County Public
Health Department, yeah.
And so they really help guide us on those decisions. They have a whole list of questions to go through, and Katie is on top of it. I hear Katie chiming in. Katie, is that you?
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so as far as the tracing is concerned, we have the buses they have their seating charts, and the nurses have those seating charts. So we will start there with collecting the information of the students who were around a person who potentially was positive, and we'll use that information, like Steve said, and work with the health department to make a determination of which students would actually need to quarantine and which ones would just need to monitor symptoms. We've also developed a process for notification, so that if there is a positive case in a building, we have a notification that will go out to the whole building just to let them know that there has been a positive case, but if they had been exposed, they would have been contacted already. So that information is ready to go, and just in case we have to use it. So
We plan to be completely transparent with the community as to what's going on in each building and in the district. And as Steve mentioned, there is also there's a spreadsheet that I've created that will be updated weekly per governor's orders. Actually, I'd already created it before he did that on our website, and it will have a list of the number of staff members and students who have tested positive, and then the number of people who we currently have in quarantine. And that'll be updated weekly so that the community will be able to see what we've got going on in the district.
Yeah, the only reason I was asking that question because of obviously the incident that happened just north of us this week in regards to their football team, and then there was some questions that came about in regards to, and I know every situation is different. So when they shut down their program for 2 weeks, the questions started coming, obviously because it's hit really close to home at that point in time. So I was just wondering.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
well,
one of the things we're trying to impress upon everybody is to pay charts and making sure that we are using that 6-foot distancing as much as possible. But the unfortunate situation may come if we can't exactly identify who was within 6 feet, and then that may mean a larger group of people would have to be quarantined. But we're trying our best to keep those records so that we don't have that situation.
Right. Okay. Thanks. I appreciate it.
will that data be listed anywhere
Yep.
besides our website, like on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that? The data for quarantine.
Are you talking about the spreadsheet I was?
Right.
The spreadsheet I was talking about.
Yes.
We certainly can tweet it out, connect to it out, but it'll be on the website posted.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Blessing?
Sure. I just want to start by thanking the board for giving us the opportunity to execute our stay in school plan. We're super excited that we survived day 3 and the first week for that matter. Obviously next week we'll have to accomplish 5 days instead of 3, but I do believe we're up for the challenge. It's been a great week. It's been exciting to see all of the students and staff back in the building. A few stories. I was over at Bauer on the first day of school, and Tammy told me that 3 little girls at recess, they were told if you were so far apart, you're outside, you can take a mask break, and they were in 3rd grade, and they decided that they were probably not 6 feet apart, so they really needed to put their masks on. So they did that on their own, and that's, again, praising those students and their families for helping them understand the importance of social distancing and just being responsible. And then I spoke to a high school senior yesterday morning at the high school when I stopped by, and she was just like, it's fine, everything's going well, everyone's wearing their masks. And I said, is there anything we need to change? Is there anything that's just, how's lunch going? And she said it's fine. She said she's a senior, she's glad to be back at school. She still sees all her friends. They sit at 2 tables instead of 1, but that's okay. They can still talk and experience all of those great memories that we want our seniors especially to have during this difficult time. So thank you, and we're looking forward to tomorrow so we can kind of, reset, reprogram, do what we need to do to get everyone on track. I do want to thank Carol and the Teamsters and all of the work that Steve and Tina put in to get this contract, the Teamsters contract settled. So that's amazing, and I've seen all of your hard work, and it definitely goes noticed, and we appreciate all of your work. So thank you. We have had some normal business too, which is exciting in this time. The USDA kind of going along with our COVID situation, they are providing free meals until the end of the calendar year. They did it over the summer, but so all of our families, whether you're on free or reduced lunch or not, if you want to eat school meals, they're free, so breakfast and lunch. And of course, if students and families are listening and they think they qualify for those assistance and fee waivers, they still need to apply like they normally would during a school year, because when that free status runs out, we would have to collect. So we want to encourage everyone to take advantage of that opportunity, and we appreciate it. Our remote families will be getting that as well. we sent some one calls out today, so we're getting some survey information about how to provide those meal packs to our online learners. And today I met with Jason Osborne and Brenda and we are going to revitalize our Campus Quest committee, because Campus Quest has kind of moved into a different phase now that our stadium is built and our funding needs are changing. So we started planning to get our committee back together and start looking at a different approach and kind of revitalize what Campus Quest is and how it can become a broader fundraising and seeking community support. So we're going to start working on that. So that's exciting. That's normal school business, which is kind of nice to have. And then we have received a lot of donations during COVID and the start to school. And so Kettering Health is going to be visiting Jane Chance Elementary. The president of Sycamore Medical Center, Louis Chinaga, I think is how you say that, is going to be coming out with a media team on Tuesday. Jane Chance has hand sanitizers like everyone does, but they have made them kid-friendly. So they have made them into like Star Wars characters. So they've partnered with a great print media guy, and he's created these. So we're going to tour and see how they've integrated those into just an elementary school, and to make it again kid-friendly and just a little more less COVID-like. So we're excited to see how they like that and share what Jane Chance has done. And then let's see. I did talk to Shannon at the ESC today, and during our trainings the last couple weeks with all of our staff, one day we had a social emotional learning day, and not only did our teachers and our instructional supports within the classroom receive some information on how to address our social emotional and the learners and how that impacts them. The bus drivers and the food service attended those as well. And Steve sent a nice note to Shannon at the ESC, and she appreciated that because she said it was a great session. She enjoyed working with our bus drivers and our support staff and our food service, and she wanted to commend us for including those parts of our staff and those important trainings. So I wanted to make sure that didn't go unrecognized as well. So it's been an exciting first 3 days, and I can't wait for the next 30, 300, 3,000. So we got this.
Okay. Anybody else? May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I move we adjourn.
I second it.
Okay, so we got a first from Mrs. Angel for the 24th time in a row. Second from Mrs. Neese.
Mrs. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine?
Yes.
Mrs. Neese?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Amsley?
Yes.
Okay, and we are officially out of here at 7:28.